Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Maria, and today I'm going to be doing a near full face of Bobbi Brown. There's just a couple of things that I haven't got, and one is a Bobbi Brown mascara, although there is one that I do really like in their range of mascaras, and also a setting powder. I just haven't got round to getting a Bobbi Brown setting powder yet. But I finally found a foundation in a shade that works for me. I've had a couple of misses with that, and I'll show you one of them. They just tend to throw quite yellow, and when I say yellow, they are really yellow. And a lot tend to lean that way, and then when I tried one in cooler, it was just too pink. So I really have to go into their neutral range, and they don't have a lot in the shades, but I have found one that I think is pretty good. So I haven't put on any primer yet. Today I'm going to use, I've got a sample size of the Bobbi Brown. It's the Vitamins Enriched. This is the face base. I've also got the eye one as well too. They gave me a sample of that too. Now this I used to use for probably at least 5 or 6 years, mainly as a moisturizer. And then when I didn't have as many foundations as I've got now, and I used to stick to matte foundations, this was perfect as a primer. I used this yesterday because I tried out this foundation yesterday. As I said, it is a long wear one, and it's more of a matte foundation, and this was perfect. And I love the smell of this. It is absolutely beautiful. I also used to buy this for my mum as well. This is before she passed away, just over 4 years ago, and my mum had oily skin as well, but she also had really sensitive skin, and I don't have sensitive skin. And she used to love this. She absolutely adored it. It didn't affect her skin in any way, and she was sensitive to quite a few products, and it used to cause her quite a bit of grief. So I'm glad I didn't get that from her. I think I got more of my dad's skin. It's sort of more robust, although the oiliness was probably from mum, but not having any sensitivity and it just being that little bit more robust, I think I must have got from my dad. So I got quite a good mix for my skin type. So I absolutely love this. I think it is a fantastic, just to use as a moisturizer on its own. When I did use it as a moisturizer, I used it in the morning as a primer before my more matte foundation, and I also used to use this at night as well, and just found it really, really good. So the foundation that I found is the Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Foundation with a SPF 15. It says this is full cover, oil-free shine control. Now I know this has been around a long time, but as I said, I've been trying to find a shade. So the shade that I picked this up in is N042, and it says that the shade name is Beige. A while ago, it was last year, I did a video on the Bobbi Brown Intensive Serum Foundation. This shade is it's N052, and it says the shade is natural. Now this is a really lovely foundation. It's very moisturizing and looks really good on the skin. The problem is that this is really yellow, and I'm going to do a foundation declutter video in the near future, and this is one that I will be decluttering. I'm just going to put a small pump of this on my hand. And I don't know whether you can see it so much on the back of my hand, but it throws really yellow. My hand is much more tan than what my face is. So when I put this on my face, I really just look like SpongeBob. But I still did the video anyway, just so people could see. And if I can, or if I remember, I will put a link to that video up here, just so you can take a look at what the foundation is like. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with foundation, it's just the shade. So I might pick this up again now that I've found a shade that works for me in the Bobbi Brown range. So this foundation has 30 mils. It says it's full long wear coverage that looks and feels like skin. It's not masky, heavy or cakey. This high performance oil-free formula creates a poreless, shine-free finish with incredibly comfortable day to night wear. So it is winter here now in New Zealand, and today it is actually a really cold day. Now, I wore this yesterday for the first time. I wore it all day. We went out to the movies and saw the latest movie, Top Gun Maverick. And so I wore this for at least 10 hours, and it is a really lovely foundation. I like it. It is a mattifying foundation though. Yesterday I put it on with a brush and I used the Hourglass primer underneath, and it went on beautifully, but I just want to try it today with a sponge. With the more matte foundations, I do tend to use a dampened beauty blender or beauty sponge of some type, because I just think they just go on sometimes that little bit better, but it does give a beautiful finish. So I've just spread that on my hand, and you can see the shade difference. You can see how yellow this one is compared to this shade here, and this just seemed to work really well with my skin. I've shared that one out, so I'm just going to add one more pump. It does say to shake well before using it. So this will be the first time trying this with a beauty blender, but I think it'll go on really lovely. I don't know why Bobbi Brown has it so that so many of the colours or shades in the foundation are so yellow. Even this one is slightly. It's supposed to have a mix of the cooler and warm shades to give it that neutral. I think it still throws probably a little bit warm, but it works really well on my skin. And after yesterday with using it with the brush, I think I do prefer it using a beauty blender. It just seems to go on just that little bit better. As I said, I just find that with matte foundations, I just find, for me, they just tend to work a little bit better, and I can really just press the product in. Now yesterday, the excess that's on the sponge, I put over my eyelid and underneath as well, and I found, even though it's a mattifying type of foundation, it worked really well under my eyes. It didn't seem to make them cakey or anything like that. And then over the top today, I will put on Bobbi Brown concealer, and I did that yesterday as well, and I thought it wore really, really well. So even though that this says that this is full coverage, I think with a brush you certainly get more of a full coverage to begin with. Now that I'm using the sponge, it does sheer it out a little bit, and I think you get a really strong medium type of coverage. You probably can't on the camera, I can slightly see just the imperfections underneath here, but it's nothing really that I would go over and conceal. I think that it just looks lovely like this. So you can see with this side done with foundation and this side not, it's evened it all out. It doesn't seem to sit in my lines or wrinkles. I think it covers the pores really well, and it certainly doesn't give a polka dot effect or anything like that. I think it looks really lovely, and I think this is great for oily skin. So that's with all the foundation on, and I know that they say it's full coverage, but I still think it is a strong medium. It's certainly not as full coverage as, say, the Charlotte Tilbury, the airbrush one. I think as soon as you put that on, you know it looks full coverage, and that's why I use a beauty blender with that one. Whereas this one, I don't think it's really like that. I mean, everyone's a bit different when it comes to whether something looks medium coverage or full coverage on their skin, but I would say this is a strong medium. But I do like this shade on me. I'm glad I found a Bobbi Brown shade that works, and I do like the finish of this foundation. But as I said, it is winter here now in New Zealand, and even though I've got oily skin, it's not as oily as it is during the summer, especially in those really warm, sort of more humid months that we get. But at the moment, I think that this foundation does wear really beautifully. As I said, I wore it yesterday, and it looked just as good at the end of the day as when I had first put it on. It did look really lovely. But I will keep wearing this foundation, and I'll definitely trial it out in the summer and see how it wears, so I can keep you updated on that. So next I've got the Bobbi Brown. This is the Intensive Serum Concealer, and this is in the shade Natural. And just like with my other concealers, I just put some in each corner. I will grab a Sonia G brush and just sheer it out. This is one of her Fusion ones, and this is the soft concealer. And I just start by shearing it out in the corner and blending it out, and the excess that's on my brush I just tap under the rest of my eye, and then lastly I will just press it in using my finger. So I've already put some powder under my eyes. I use the new Westman Atelier, it's the Vital Press, the skincare powder in the shade Creme, and using my finger I just put a tiny amount under my eyes. Now I'm just going to put on a little bit of powder. It just feels like it needs a tiny bit of powdering, and I am loving this. I picked this up not too long ago and I think it's really, really lovely. It's the Prairie Skin Caviar, the loose powder. I've just got my Lumiere powder brush and just the smallest amount, and I'm not really even going to buff it in, just sort of tap some powder over. This is what I did yesterday and it looked really lovely all day. I think the foundation is one, I mean it's hard to tell because it's not summertime, but it is a foundation if you were in a rush and didn't want to powder, then you wouldn't necessarily have to. It's just that I like to give a light dusting. It just feels like it needs it just slightly because my natural oils are still going to come through a little bit. But how it looks now is how it looked 10 hours after I was wearing it. It is the combination of a little bit of powder with that foundation is really, really lovely. So for the bronzer, I've got the bronzing powder and it is in shade medium. And I'll use the Sonia G, this is the Niji Pro brush. And I like the shade of this bronzer. I think it gives a beautiful warmth to the skin. I think it blends really beautifully. And I just think it's a really nice bronzing powder. And it is one that I reach for quite a bit. It's really, really nice. I really like the shade. So for the eyeshadow, I'm going to use the Longwear Cream Sticks. I did a video on these probably about a week ago, and I picked up 4 new shades. Bobbi Brown released 10 new shades, and in the last video I used, it was Smoky Topaz and Mica, and together I thought they looked really, really beautiful. I will swatch all 4 on my hand so you can take a look at them, but today I'm going to concentrate on Forest and then the other shade Incandescent. These are fantastic. Once you put them on, they do not budge, and if you want makeup that's going to last all day and isn't fussy, it copes really well with oily lids. These are definitely go-to type of eyeshadow sticks. I just think they are fabulous, and I think that they're very easy to apply as well. One of these shades is just gorgeous for a one and done look, or like I'm going to use today, 2 is really lovely as well, or as many as you want really. So what I'll do is I'll swatch these on my hand so you can take a look at them. So here we have Smoky Topaz. This one is Mica, and these are the 2 that I used in my last video. This one is Forest, and someone asked me, because I didn't describe it in my last video, I would say this is a grungy green, an olive green, and it has a slight sort of gold fleck in it as well. It is a really pretty shade. And this one is Incandescent. Now they describe this as gold with a pink flip. And yesterday I wore these 2 together, the Forest and the Incandescent. and I thought together they looked really, really beautiful. I'll just hold my hand up again, and if I turn it, I don't know whether you can see the flip that incandescent shade has, but it is really, really pretty. It just very subtly shifts from gold and then pink, and I just thought with the forest it looked really, really beautiful. So I'm going to start off with the shade Forest. Now initially I just put these on my eye, I deposit some colour, and then I blend them out using a brush. Now some people blend these out using your finger, and you can do that. I tend to reach for a synthetic brush. I think that works better with these shadows, and these ones are the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy ones, and this brush is a 502. I have got some other ones in the set, but I'll start off with this brush. So I just deposit the shade, and it does blend out. Now these do dry down, and I mentioned it in my other video that you don't have to panic, but you do have to work at them sort of fairly quickly. I wouldn't put this down and then another bit on this eye and spend a while blending out and leave that one there, because then you wouldn't be able to, by the time you got to this eye, you wouldn't be able to blend them out. And once they are dried down, they just do not budge, and I showed in my last video how the swatches on my hand don't either once they're dried down. It is just a great formula. I love it, especially when you have oily skin. These are just fantastic. And then keeping with the forest shade, I'm going to use the BK Beauty. This is the 204 brush, and what I do is just wipe along the stick here. I'm just going to put some on my lower lash line. So next I'm going to use Incandescent, and I'm going to use the same brush that I used to put on Forest. I've just given it a wipe on my microfiber cloth. So next is, this is a really, really pretty shade. I quite like these two colours together. As I was saying before, I thought yesterday that they just looked really pretty. So it's going to put a little bit up through there as well. And then just take the brush and just blend it through, just so it blends over the other shade. And I think together they look really, really pretty. Now I'm going to put on some eyeliner. This is a Bobbi Brown one. This is in Chocolate Truffle. It's actually the only Bobbi Brown eyeliner that I have, and I do need to pick up some more shades. I really love these eyeliners with my oily skin. They don't budge during the day either. And you say I put this on with these two eyeshadows. What I did was I just tight lined on my upper lid and just put a small amount on the lower lid, and it just helped everything pop a little bit, and altogether I think looked really, really lovely. So I'm just going to do that off camera, put on some mascara, and then I'll be back. So now for blush, I'm going to use, this is a fairly new release product. It was released a little bit earlier this year. And this is the Crushed Creamy Colour for cheeks and lips. So I'm going to use this for blush today. And this is in the shade Tulle. And you only need the tiniest amount, because the tubes aren't very big, but you really only need a tiny amount of product. So I'll show you how much I've put on the back of my hand. It's just this little dot here, and that will be enough for one cheek. So I'm just going to take the Sonia G brush. This is the mini base one. This is one of her fusion brushes, and just dab it in to that product and then tap it on. So just this little amount. You can see how much pigment there is. I think this is a really beautiful colour. But you can see just from that tiny amount I had on the back of my hand how much product you get. Now you can go even more bold than this if you want to. I'm just going to pick up the rest that's on my hand. It's just a tiny amount there. But for me, this is really the amount of colour that I want. I don't want to go any more bold than this, but you certainly can, and it layers really beautifully too. Now you can put this on using a beauty blender. You can put it on with your fingertips if you want. I just use the brush and I think it blends out beautifully. And these last really well on the cheeks too. The colour that I put on yesterday, all my makeup that I put on yesterday, I wore for about 10 hours and the blush was still there as well. It lasts really, really beautifully. And the video that I did that I was trying on both of the shades, if I remember, I'll put the link up here if you want to take a look at that. So over top of the blush, I'm going to do what I did yesterday. First of all, I'm going to just sweep over on top of the blush. This is the Shimmer Brick Compact, and this is the one in Pink Quartz. These have been around for ages, but I love this brick. I think it is really, really beautiful. Like most of the Bobbi Brown products, they are just subtle, but just give a really beautiful look. I'm going to use the Chukuhodo brush. This is the F01. It's quite a big powder brush. And I just sweep over all the shades that are in there. And then I lay it all over the blush that I've just put on. And it gives just this really beautiful, subtle shimmer. But as I said, I'm going to also use one of the new highlights as well. Bobbi Brown recently came out with 4 new shades. I picked up 2 of them and showed them in a video not too long ago. So today I'm going to use one of those 2 shades. This one is Peach Glow, and this is what Peach Glow looks like. It is a really beautiful shade, and I love the Bobbi Brown highlighters, just like the brick that I've put over. I just find that they give this gorgeous highlight. It's not a wet look, they are more subtle, but I just think they're really beautiful. And to put it on, I'm going to use a Sonia G brush. This set has only recently been released and it's still available at Beautylish. And this is the Hinoki set. And I've been using this brush a lot for highlight. I just think it applies product really, really beautifully. So I just sweep over the whole pan. What a beautiful, beautiful glow it gives. It's really, really beautiful. And then finally, I'm going to put on some lipstick and one of the new lip glosses over the top. For the lipstick, I'm going to use a crushed lip color, and this is in the shade Blondie Pink. And then over the top, I'm going to use one of the new crushed oil-infused glosses. I love this formula. I picked up the 3 new shades, Bellini, Bare Sparkle, and I think the other one was Kira. This is the one in Bare Sparkle. And here is the finished look. I think that these glosses go beautifully over lipstick. With all the 3 shades that I tried out in a video I did a week or 2 ago, I just wore them by themselves, and I think they look beautiful just by themselves too. But over top of the lipstick, I think it does look really gorgeous. So I am loving the Forest and the Incandescent, these shades together. I think both look really, really beautiful. I also think the Forest Green would look lovely with that shade Mica that I used in my other video. You can definitely mix or match them up. You can wear them by themselves, but I think these 2 shades together just look really, really beautiful. The foundation feels really lovely, and as I said, I wore this for at least 10 hours yesterday, went out to the movies and just sort of general wear throughout the day, and it wore really beautifully. I think the shade is great, and I'm really happy that I've been able to find a Bobbi Brown shade now that works and isn't too yellow. The blush is really lovely. I think it is great. You just need the tiniest amount and it just blends out beautifully. The Shimmer Brick is beautiful over top of the blush. I also think it would be beautiful as a base, and then put a blush over the top as well to get a more sort of lit from within glow. I think it would be really pretty that way too. And I love the highlighting powder it's there and you can see it. It's not too wet looking, but it definitely gives a highlight, and I'm just loving that shade Peach Glow. I think it is really, really beautiful. So this is what I wore out yesterday. So this is a more sort of everyday type of look for me, and I just think it looks really, really pretty. Bobbi Brown products are just so gorgeous. They've been around a long time, but I just love them. I think they're easy to use. I think it always gives just a very easy put together look, and I just think their products are fantastic. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.